Welcome to TechCrunch, a place where we learn and earn technical skills in the most efficient way. Let's make coding fun. Java Coding Exercise Series 1, XML Parsing 2. Today we are going to present you a live demonstration of how to write into an XML using SAX and DOM XML Parsing API in Java. Before we get into the demonstration, let's take a quick review about XML. Extensible Markup Language is a markup language that defines a set of rules for encoding documents in a format that is both human readable and machine readable. We have seen in the last session of XML Parsing 1 where we try to read the data from the XML and display it in the console. Now today our objective is to create an XML file and write into it the data in the tags form. So we have seen in the last session about the XML Parsing API. There are two types of API available for parsing XML. One is DOM, Document Object Model, and another one is Simple API XML. Now let's take a look at implementation one by one. We have seen Document Object Model works on the element based, and SAX, Simple API XML, works on the document based. Like entire XML is going to upload it and then we create the XML. In case of DOM, we work element based. Now let's get the implementation and see how it works. It will be more clear when we actually see the demonstration. To write into an XML, first we need to have the getter and setter method. For getter and setter, please, I would like to refer you to another informative session which is available in our coding exercise series 1. We have mentioned in detail about how we create and why we create the getter and setter methods. Write xml.java file. This particular class will have the main method where we are going to call the API and uploading the data or creating an elements for the XML as per our requirement. And in the end, we have the XML file which contains the data. Now, for writing XML using DOM API, we have to follow the steps. Create a document builder instance. Then we create a document from the above document builder. Then we create the transformer instance and source instance for document object model file. Create a new stream result to the output stream you want to use. Stream result basically contain the data which is going to write it into the XML. Use transform method to write the document object model object to the output stream you want. So in case if you want to display it in the console that what you are going to have the content in your XML is going to use it in a output stream in your stream results. Now in the end, once you have the XML and you have the content, all you need to write it into the XML. We need to have it in an elements form because document object model XML parsing API works on elements. So first we have to have the root element, then we have the child element, then we have the append child method. That's how we create the particular XML. Now let's go down and see how it works. For demonstration, we are going to have an example of bank.java getter and setter method. This type of application contains the customer ID, first name, last name, nickname, and balance. So these parameters we are going to use and input will be there in the XML like this. So these parameters first we need to get and set from the getter and setter method. That class will call the bank.java. Now another way, when we use the DOM XML parsing API, so we are going to have the class for the DOM API, and in that class file we are going to use the all classes and objects from the API. And once this execute, this will create your XML and write it into the content. Now let's take a look at the demonstration. So this is my Eclipse IDE and I'm going to continue with my last project, XML parse demo. Here we have the package, and inside this package we have seen last time about the reading data from the XML. Now today we are going to see the writing. So XML DOM parsing demo. So this is my class. I need the main method. And before that, we need to have the getter and setter method class. So let's have the bank underscore new, just for you to show it again. We have done that getter and setter method in the last session, so I'm just going to do it again just for the review, quick review. And so I'll give the name bank dot underscore new. Now this class will have your getter and setter method, and getter and setter method will have your parameters, and these are in your nickname and ID and last name and balance. So ID and balance. So these are the parameters we are going to use in your application. Now next step, getter and setter method. So for getter method, public return type, your get your first name. No arguments, only return type. So return type will go like this, your first name. So without any confusion, we continue like this instead of creating more confusion. You see? So last name and the nickname. Right. So get nickname. So once the getters method is done, what we can do next is setter method. And another thing we need for balance. Now this is all about the getter method. Now next is we need to have setter method. For setter method, it is no return type, but we have an argument. So this will go like this. Instead of get, we have to have set method, and return type will be your string. That will be a different variable. And this dot first name equals to, so this is your setter method. So we need to just copy paste and let's make it last name. Nickname. So let's make it different without any confusion. So this will make it easy. So after this, we need to have ID. So set ID, return type int ID, or give it another name, cust ID, to make it simple and different. ID equals cust ID, and close. Another one, public int or void set your balance, right? Int, and make it different, bal. This dot balance equals val. So here is all done about your getter and setter method. Now next, let's have a parsing API. So this is for your DOM type of API. So for DOM, what we need to do is we need to have the main method, and inside the main method, first step, we need to create our document builder factory. and we are going to create an instance first for that, or just document it, calling your no instance, calling your constructor and creating an instance. Document builder, creating a document builder next, and DB builder object. Now once this is done, we need to have a try client block to make it more efficient programming, and DB filter DB factory, and creating a new document. And once this is done, the next step, creating a document as per our steps. Next step, the builder dot new document. Now once this is done, next step we need to have the element. Since DOM work on element based, so we need to create a root element, and then we create a content for the so this is a dummy link you can provide in case if you want to have a online application. So I'm just giving some URI which is dummy, it is not working. You can mention it any specific one you have it in your, and here we need to give the class name bank, or actually it's a root element, so we need to give bank instead of bank new. It's not a class, it's a tag, it's a root tag of your class. And XML bind, of course this is the one, actually not this one, we need to have the another package, it's this one. See, so this will include everything now. Now once you created your root element, next step you need to add your child tag. So for that, append child, and in that append child we need to have the root element. So this is how we can add the content, and you can add more with root element object dot append child, and here you can mention it providing the argument of your all kind of values you want to have it. So what I'm going to do here, for example, if you have the bank application, bank type of application, you need to have the client details. Those client details are going to return from another method called get client. This is my design. You can have any other way of your application. One of the kind of a design. So get client, I'm going to have a declaration. Now I'm going to create a method, and that method contains this implementation, private static node get client, and I'm going to have the document as an argument, and my parameters string name for the first name, string L name for the last name, string for nick for the nickname, string for the balance. To make it simple and easy, I'm going to have the arguments. Now once this is done, I'm going to have the element, creating an element of client, and that client will have the document which create an element, and inside the element we have another child tag is called client. Now once this is done, then client we need to set the attributes, and that is possible with the help of your set attribute method, where we have the cust id and value will be id. So this is how we can set the attribute. Now this is id set. Now we need to create your element, and that element has to append the child and then child inside. So we have created the root element, we have created the client element. Now next we need to put the values. For values like a client details, we are going to have another client detail method. You can have any other way. You can provide directly something to, I wanted to make it in a little structured form. So for that, I'm just having the first name and the last name and the name value. So this is the argument of my get client details. Now I'm going to create another get client detail method. Create a method get client details. Now you can see here, and instead of null, this method returns node. Okay, and in this method the implementation goes like this. We have to have the element, because element will create a tag. Now doc dot create element, and the argument will be your name. So this will create a tag and append the details of the client. Append child doc dot create text node. Okay, so this will have the data, and that will be having the values. Now this value is basically nothing but your string value coming from here, and this will be your name. This is why it was creating an error. So your client details method implementation is done. Now next complete our get client method. So for get client method, we just have the attributes of customer ID. Now next have the first ID. Let's make it first ID. And I'm sure I'm not okay. We need to have the last name. Okay, termination is missing, and your nickname. And this is last name, of course. Termination. And your balance. ID is already done, so we need to include balance next. And termination. So your get client method is implemented. Now here let's go back to the main method, and in the main method what next we need to do is we have to root element. We need to pass the argument of your get client. So since we have the first is document, then our first value and nickname, some random nickname, and some figure of your balance of the client. Okay, so it's showing some error because of the finally we have to complete our try catch block. Before that, let's have another tag, and this ID name is 2. Since it works on, remember the difference between the DOM document object model and simple API XML parsing is that works in this particular API. The DOM works on the element base. So all you need to create an element, have a tag, and put the content, the value, which is dynamic. So you can include as much as you want, like this. If you want another, you can include one more here. Just Tom, Dick, and Harry, something like this. Tom, Dick, and Harry. So these are the values you have had in your tags. Okay. Now once the data is ready, you have the data. Now you need to create a file. So for file, let's have the next step is what your transformer factory. Creating an object of transformer factory include transformer factory object and constructor, creating an instance, and once this is done, then creating a transformer object. Transformer basically helps you to creating a new file format and transform that file and according to their respective format. You see why it is showing error here. It's nothing. API. Okay, fine. Next, transformer object set output property, and here we need to give the output keys which is in the indent format. So we need to give the formatting of your XML. We cannot have the file on content which cannot be organized and formatted properly. So to have the content in a format form, we need to put the intent and writing in a XML in a formatted form. Now we need to include the another API, package. Okay, case sensitive issue. Now once you have created a file, you have transformed it into the file, and you have content. Now next you need to write it into the file and display it in the console. So for displaying into the console, you need to use stream result. That will display and make sure that you have getting the value properly. Okay, so this will write it, display it in the console. Another stream result, I think it is because of your importing package, creating a file, and then we write all that content you have collected from for the your XML that is going to display here. So this will be your XML path. If you're making an offline application, you need to give absolute path. For online, you need to give the relative path according to your server. So it depends on what type of application you have. You're going to use this feature. So this will help you to write into the console and into the file. You see? And once this is done, then I guess we need to close the try an exception block. And this is because of the package. And this is because of my mistype. And why is this? Okay, this is supposed to be transform, not transformer. So the thing is, you need to make sure you are using the proper spelling and case sensitive, because sometimes that create an error. Now here we need to give the XML absolute path of your application. So I'm just using one of the path and copying it from that, and this is my absolute path of an XML. It's need to give the backslash to escape character so that they can use the compiler can read the and find out the file directory properly. Now since this is already created, I'm just rename it with a new name, and then we'll try to execute this. Now let's take a look at the execution. It's a Java execution of XML DOM parsing demo. We have created the XML. If you refresh this, so if you refresh it, you will see a new file. Okay, I'll rename it again and show it to you once again. So this is my rename the file, and this is my content, and if I'm going to execute this, you can see this is the content. And if I refresh this Project Explorer, here I can see another XML file. Let's try one more time. Here, this is your XML, and you can see here the content. This is in a formatted form, like bank tag, your client tag, your customer ID, and then first name, last name, nickname, balance, and the client tag, another client tag. So element is nothing but the tags, and tags contains an app in the child, and this is how it works in the DOM API. So this is the live demonstration and implementation of XML writing using DOM XML Parsing API in Java. Now let's take a look at the SAX XML API. To write in an XML using SAX XML Parsing API, what we are going to do, we just have an XML, we have a getter and setter method, and in xml.java file, we're just going to import the entire content of the XML and writing it and put it in the XML after creating an XML file using file descriptor. So let's take a look at the implementation. For XML using SAX, I'm going to use the same getter and setter method and creating a new XML class file, SAX API demo. It's a little complicated. I need a main method, of course, and so here is my main method. Inside the main method, I am just going to call my getter and setter method class bank, or you can have the bank new. Class customer dot set. Here we are going to have the set ID, and the set ID just give some value. Set first name, I am going to give a tech ranch. Last name, again tech ranch. Nickname, balance, some integer value. Now this is, we got the content for the XML. Next we need to create the file descriptor and new file, and here we need to give the absolute path, and we'll do it later. Now first we need to call the API, and this will be our API object. Okay, so basically it is creating an object, so we need to give some value, and here you can find your new instance classes method and bank underscore new dot class. So this is our getter and setter method. All we need to call that one marshaller. Marshaller will basically help you to load the content from your Java to your XML. So JXP tech context in create a marshal. Here, this will create your marshaller, and JXP con marshaller. Okay, just because the package is not included, it's not taking any inbuilt method. So what I can do, I can just import the packages. Marshaller, import marshaller. Actually, this is not the package. We need to include the another package, this one. So this will help you to include everything. And here is the error. Okay, we gave the argument later. And now let's take a look at the package methods. Okay, it is still not showing any package name. Okay, no problem. We'll figure it out later. Set property, and see, it got it again all by itself now. So we need to have the formatted output. So that will be my argument, and put it the true. Now once this is done, as you can see, it's showing error now, and this is because the different object creation. So you have to make sure you have the correct spelling when we actually, so it does not have marshaller dot marshal method, and argument will be your customer and writing into the file. Similarly, jx marshaller dot marshal dot customer argument, and this time is for your console to see how it is going to print it in your file. Now your catch exception. So I am going to have more specific exception method. So I'm going to catch with the JXP exception, and inside it I'm just going to print the message if in case it create any exception. So this will make your code more efficient and appropriate. So once this is done, I think this is because the spelling. And this error is for argument, and this error is for the package. Let's see if we have any other errors. Yes, we do have one error for the file argument. So for file argument, we need to create another XML, and for that I just need an absolute path of any XML in that same directory, and give another name of the XML file to make sure it is created and it is different. Or else you can delete that and see. There's so many ways you can do these things. So this is basically SAX, right? You can name it SAX. Now if let's try to execute this and see how it works. It might show you error, or it is working absolutely fine. So if you refresh it, basically, so this will create a new SAX XML file. So you see here, XML TR. This is what the file we created. And here is the bank tag, customer ID. It does not have the client tag. You see, it directly have the bank and the customer ID, function name, last name, nickname, and your. So it does not have the client tag in a different form. It just have the bank and your IDs, and based on IDs it will create your tags. So this is the implementation of SAX API for XML parsing to write into an XML. So we have seen the live demonstration and implementation of writing into an XML using DOM SAX XML Parsing API. In case of any kind of assistance needed or any kind of source code, please contact techranch2019@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more upcoming interesting, informative session. Let's make coding fun. Thank you.